Hello there. What's going on, everyone? Today I'm going to be talking about the Orville. Have you been watching it? What do you think? Do you think the Orville could make it to tabletop? I think it's very, very likely. In fact, there's already some news that is starting there. But do you think we could see epic space battles from the Orville on your tabletop? I'm going to be talking about all of these things. I'm going to be talking about the show and the way it's going and how it's actually building into its own IP. So what's going on, everybody? I'd like to also start things off and remind you guys there is still time to enter the latest giveaway. I'm giving away a $25 Amazon gift card. All you have to be is a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. Let me know what you think of the Orville. If not, what do you think the next great space-based epic game will be? All right, so their Orville is actually in its second season right now and is doing very, very well. And there's been some things that have happened in season 2 that have really led me to want a tabletop game for the Orville. Now, recently we did find out that WizKids has announced they're going to be making the Orville for HeroClix. So this is going to be like the people, like the away teams, the people standing up, you know, shooting their phasers or, you know, all of that sort of thing, which is fine, but the Orville isn't really a ground combat game. So to me, that's more of a first step towards the Orville being what it probably should be on a tabletop, and that's a space game. I'd like to see the Orville show up to my tabletop in maybe some type of 4X or space-based skirmish game, because that's kind of what it is to me. The Orville is really a love letter to Star Trek, all things Star Trek, specifically Star Trek The Next Generation. And, you know, when it first came out, I thought, like a lot of people thought, it was just going to be Family Guy in space, like a big jokey, ha-ha, you know, let's make fun of aliens and things like that. And it turned out to be somewhere in between that and an actual serious show. And a lot of people were kind of surprised, myself included. I actually really liked it because one of the things about the Orville that blew me away was that it actually felt like Star Trek. There's been a lot of other Star Treks lately that are cool and edgy and stuff. And I've always been a Star Trek fan since I was about a mid-teenager. And I discovered Star Trek The Next Generation. I've always been a Star Trek fan. And, you know, amongst all of my fandom, Star Trek is always placed very high. Primarily because of the science that goes into it, the intellectual aspect of it, and you know, some of the really cool technology, some of the really cool plot lines, great writing, great episodes, and you know, in the different types of Star Trek have different themes to them. Like Next Generation, you could just jump in anywhere. You didn't really have to pay attention from one episode to the next. Whereas Deep Space Nine, which is my favorite Star Trek, you know, it was more of like a soap opera, at least for the second half of the series. It was more of a, like, one episode directly leads into the next, and so you could easily miss out if you got lost. Voyagers, I wasn't a big fan of. It started to get better later on in the series, but the Orville comes back and, you know, it recaptures all of that. At a time where we've got things like Star Trek Discovery and then the Kelvinverse, which just don't feel as Star Trek-y to me. I mean, they're good and I enjoy them in their own rights, but they just don't feel the same. They don't capture that nostalgia. And maybe they don't have to capture that nostalgia. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people get kind of caught up in whenever something from their past gets made again today. And this applies to Star Wars as well. New stuff doesn't always have to capture the true nostalgic feel of the past, but it is really a bonus if it does. And that's one of the things I like so much about the Orville, is that it really captures that nostalgia because it feels like Star Trek The Next Generation to me. But it's all new too, because again, you don't know what's going to happen. Somebody might leave the show, somebody might die, you know, and so you're actually watching just see what's going to happen because you don't already know everybody's future. And one of the things that I particularly love about it is that it's not a prequel to anything. The future is unwritten. Alliances could be made, alliances could be broken, enemies could be found, enemies could be, you know, discovered. Allies could become enemies, enemies could become allies, planets could be destroyed, humanity could get wiped out, and maybe the Orville's the last chip. All of these things could potentially happen. The stakes are very, very high. But the problem that the Orville suffered from in season 1 was that primarily it was kind of predictable and it was a little too jokey. Sometimes the jokes felt a little forced and it was just a little more jokey than it needed to be. That being said, I still very much enjoyed it. Now, fast forward a little bit, season 2 rolls around, and I'm getting to the gaming aspect of it, don't worry. But season 2 rolls around, and now we've got this show that's dialed back on the comedy just a little bit. Just a little bit. And I figured it hit the sweet spot of being, for me, it hit its perfect spot as far as the comic balance. They're still real people. They still have real sense of humors like we do, without trying to be overly raunchy or complexly, you know, forcing jokes. So now it's just realistic jokes. So it actually can make you laugh a little bit. But at the same time, the serious aspect has been definitely drawn up. And I think they drove this home in the first episode of season 2, where there was something that a very, very easy joke that they could have made, and they could have really went straight up corny and raunchy with it. And they didn't. Like, they pulled their punches. And that kind of told me that they're getting a little more serious. And as the season 2 has gone on, we eventually got to a point where we did see a very, very, very large space battle. And I'm not going to go into spoilers if you haven't seen it yet, but this space battle was everything. This space battle was everything I've wanted from every show that I watch. It was absolutely magnificent. This was almost a Game of Thrones level battle as far as how amazing and mind-blowing it was. It was really, really, really good. And especially on a show that doesn't have half the budget Game of Thrones has, they did an amazing job with the space battle. So visually, it was gorgeous. And then as far as what was going on in the space battle is really, really compelling and really made me want to see this on my tabletop. And one of the things that I think was really magnificent about this space battle is we got to see new ships. There was lots of different ship types. However, there weren't enough ship types. Like, I still want to see more ship types. And I realize we are only in season 2 right now. So we're probably going to get, a bigger budget. This space battle was strong enough that it probably already got Orville renewed for season 3. And probably a season 4 is probably in the pocket as well, as long as nobody really screws the pooch. So basically, season 3 is probably going to happen because of this space battle. It was that good. Very, very good season. I'm hoping we get a bigger budget for season 3. We can see more ship models created, more classes of vessel, and really this show is becoming its own IP. I feel like it is. I mean, it's been its own IP, but what I mean is it's cementing a place in our fandom very, very quickly. And it's something that I would love to have, like, in a really high-end game box on my shelf behind me. I've got things like Star Trek Ascendancy that are great for something like that. It would totally fit that role. Rebellion, all right, it would totally fit a role like that. Star Wars Armada, absolutely. Now, here's one of the things that was really, really cool about this space battle is that you had more than 2 sides. And that's all I want to say. There's more than 2 sides. So in other words, the Orville, and just like with Star Trek, you have lots of different alien races, each with their own fleets and with their own technology. This is a fandom and an IP that, if it made its way into board gaming, could be a very, very, very good multiplayer space game with lots of different factions, all with their own balances and their own different ship models. Now, we do need more time before it can actually thrive in this type of environment, because there's more ship models that still need to be designed. I feel like all of the factions in play in this lore of this show haven't had a fully threshed out, catalog of ships just yet. But I think that's definitely something that's coming. I think with the fan reaction to this big space battle that they have in the Orville, I think that's just going to drive them to want to make more. I mean, if all you have to do is put another space battle in the trailer for season 3, and we're all going to be, I'm going to be tuning in anyway. And I don't even watch a whole lot of TV, but the Orville is definitely up there to force me to make time to watch this show, because it is that amazing. And I will continue to watch it. I think it's been so good so far. Even if it started to go downhill, I'd probably still watch it for a while. It's earned that much of my loyalty. But yeah, basically, really, really eager for a good space battle type of show that can routinely do, space stuff. A lot of other shows haven't done that. Now, maybe with Disney Plus coming next year, we might eventually see a Star Wars show that can have a heavy space focus. It does kind of require a lot more budget for special effects and CGI and things like that, and modeling. There's a lot of that goes into it, so it's not cheap to make big space shows. It'd be kind of cool if they kind of did them like they used to do in the old days with Star Trek and actually used real models instead of everything being CGI. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not in that industry. I don't know what's cheaper, and one of the downfalls of using real models is they would get lazy and use the same ship multiple times. Look at Star Trek The Next Generation. Anytime they just met a single alien vessel from some unnamed species, it was always that little triangular ship, meeting with the Enterprise. Like, you've seen that in like 5 or 6 different episodes as a completely different ship, but it's the exact same ship model. So You know, they might fall into that pit trap, and I kind of don't want them to do that. So very, very much a fan of the Orville. Wondering if it can make it to tabletop. Let me know how you would like to see it on your tabletop as far as the space battle. I'm not so much thrilled with the away team battles and stuff like what the WizKids is doing right now. And another thing that's really, really cool, the Orville airs on Fox. And within the next couple of days, the Disney-Fox merger will be final. And so Disney may be able to leverage the Orville. And since a company like Fantasy Flight already happens to have the Star Wars license, perhaps we might see the Orville coming to Fantasy Flight. Again, this is very, very early. They're probably not even in the negotiation stage for something like this to happen. It may not happen for another year, but if it does, I'd be all in. Would you be all in? All right, let me know what you think in the comments below, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell for alerts. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate all the support. You can hop in my Discord and talk about it as well. I usually stay on brand with Star Wars and tabletop games, and Orville's a little off brand, but I feel like it's close enough that it can still easily kind of fit within all of our geeky fandoms. So let me know what you think. I want to thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.